Hi, everyone. This is Teresa Aker from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. Thanks for joining me today. I am thrilled to bring you Jennie Bellinger. She is amazing. She's a person that I met a little while ago. I did a podcast with her. I found her to be warm and friendly, and she has a message today that I wanted to bring to you. I'm going to give you a little bit about Jennie's bio, but first I want to say, good morning, Jennie.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm
Thank you for
wonderful.
having me here, by the way. I am so excited.
I'm glad you came. We always have a good time when we're chatting, and
We
this is
do.
such a relaxed forum. So, just for everybody, this is first thing in the morning, and we're having our coffees, and it's very casual, and but it's great. It's a great message.
Mm. Yeah, definitely because success does not sleep in.
Ever.
No.
So I'm going to just give a quick rundown about Jennie's background, and then we'll get into our chat. So Jennie Bellinger is a certified professional coach and host of the Badass Direct Sales Mastery. She is amazing, and she has a great podcast, and I just love listening to her. Top 10 direct sales leaders hire her to help them focus on business and team growth. She is extremely good at helping companies. So from there, she's an entrepreneur since 2010. Jennie has absolutely raised her children and navigated through life, found balance, raising her children, and through divorce, which is what I wanted to talk to you about, and
Yeah.
give the audience a chance to find out what trials and tribulations you went through and how they can overcome them. So,
Yeah.
welcome, Jennie.
Thank you. Thanks again for having me. In this world, especially in this day and age, I don't remember what the exact statistics are, but like there's a 50% chance that anybody who's watching this is going to be going through what I went through. It,
I agree. It's getting high. I think it's even getting higher in the second marriages because a lot of people go through the first one and then they have a second marriage, and then that
Mhm.
is even higher, I think. So, just in my opinion, it's a good topic. There's a lot of people out there that need your help, Jennie.
Yeah. Well, I'll do what I can. We'll put it that way. So, what's the first question you have for me?
So I want to ask you, Jennie, I know you went through divorce. Thank you for sharing that. And
Mhm.
thank you for sharing it with our public. So I also have gone through divorce. So one thing I found was it was quite scary in the beginning because I think we feel a little bit alone, don't we?
Yeah. No, absolutely. When I was going through my divorce, so my divorce started in 2018. The separation started in 2018. Now, I have a very unique divorce story because life happened the way that it happened. And my and I stayed in the same home for oh, almost 3 years together after we separated. But we created like an apartment down in the basement so that the kids could go be with mom or dad whenever they wanted. There was no kitchen down in the basement. So we always had dinners together, and he would go off to work, come home until 2020 and the world shut down when then we all worked from home.
Yeah.
um we had a very unique situation in that we weren't fighting and didn't hate each other. We just realized that this was not meant to be any longer, that we're good co-parents, we're good friends, and we didn't want to get to the point where we were unhappy because we weren't getting what we wanted out of a marriage. So we separated. And, but at the time, I didn't know anybody else going through a divorce at the same time, with the exception of the man who I'm now with and engaged to. And so we became divorce buddies and we chatted our way through it and we had really deep conversations. Um, so my story is a little different. I would say I've probably felt more alone in the fact that I'm an entrepreneur and still a solopreneur-ish because my fiance is also an entrepreneur, but he works in the field of tech. So he does a lot of my tech stuff, but he's not in the world of marketing or anything like that. So all the stuff I do for my business, I do for my business. It's me, right? But on the divorce side, as soon as I started going through everything, my mentor and coach, her name is Virginia Mooskies, she said, "You've got to get yourself a goddess council." And I went, "Okay, like, sure, okay, I'll go do that." And so I got together friends, family, trusted people in my life and just said, let them know what was going on, saying, "Hey, I'm going to need a little extra support over the next who knows how long in a variety of ways. Would you be one of those people?" Oh, yes, of course. I mean, who's going to say no to a friend, right? Or a family member who's
Right.
just saying, "I don't need help right now, but I might need help later in some fashion, you know, emotional support, something." And they all said yes. And so, I went back to her and I said, "Okay, I've got my goddess council." She goes, "Okay, who's on?" And I started naming people. And she goes, "You you have men on your goddess council." And I said, "Yeah, because the way I think about it, I'm
They
the goddess, they're the council." Like she was defining it as, "You need a bunch of women around you and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "But I have some very smart, amazing men in my life. And I don't want to keep them out just because of gender. I've got some amazing people." So I put my goddess council around me because I'm the goddess, they're the council, they're the people who are going to help support, advise, all of that. And so I had people who were good in business as part of my council, people who were good in, who are part of family. So I could have those family conversations that no one wants to have outside of family,
That's
And then I
right.
had friends. So, you know, I very intentionally and purposefully brought all of those people into my life, knowing that I was going to need a variety of support over the years, and made sure that my ex also had the same because I knew at some point he was going to move out. So I was like, "Who are you talking to? Who are your friends? Who's your support system?" And so, yeah, like I said, I have a very different divorce.
But Jenny, listen, so I heard loud and clear, you were there
Hmm.
for the children, you and your husband,
Hmm.
your former husband.
Very much so.
But what an important moment because you certainly hear, and I've certainly heard a lot of people go through a horrible time through divorce, and the children
Yeah.
really do live the pain and feel the suffering. What you and their dad did for them was keep them relatively calm, let them go
Yeah.
through the divorce, and understand that just because mom and dad aren't together doesn't mean they don't love us, they don't love each other. You just, as you
Yeah.
said, you came to a moment of reckoning. Number two, wow, good for you. That's what I was saying about we feel a little bit lonely. So you have to bring that network of people. I too had a lot of friends, and male friends are important because you're getting a perspective from your former husband's side to say, "Hey, I'm a dad too, or I'm a man, and it's hard for us too." And today's day and age,
Yeah.
women and men are raising their children together. Certainly before traditionally, usually the woman did. And I don't want to negate men that
Right.
did, but usually the women did. And it was
Yes.
hard on them. They had to all of a sudden figure out financing. They had to figure out how to raise the children. Perhaps they went to daycare because there was no one now home to take care of them. And their children did suffer. And believe you me, the parents suffered because they didn't have there's no rule book on what do I do
No.
when I get divorced. So Jenny, congratulations. And that's one of the reasons we have you on is because it is unique. You are one of those people that recognize, hey,
Right.
my kids matter. Lots of people make mistakes. That's a given. And
Yeah.
nobody's perfect. And with all respect to people who've been through it and are going through it, it is.
Oh my gosh.
But if
Yeah.
you can
And
find a way, this is perfect.
yeah. And I think what it really came down to was we had the benefit of emotional maturity on both of our sides.
Mhm.
not to say that it wasn't emotional and that it doesn't still get emotional, but I mean, we just hopped on a Zoom call last night because we're homeschooling our kids. Our oldest is in high school now, and Jordan, my oldest, is 16 and is having issues with how quickly the homeschooling process is going
Okay.
and needed to and shared with us, I'm overwhelmed. There's too much going on. How can we slow this down, make this work? And that has come from the fact that we've had a lot of hard conversations with our kids, deep conversations throughout this entire process. And so we all got on a Zoom last night and talked it through. What can we do? How can we make this work? Do we need to switch curriculums? Do we need to, and just had a really good conversation with another friend of ours who's been homeschooling for years and was able to share her perspective on it with us, and
That's
just
great.
we can still have those conversations. Now, like I said, I realize that my situation is very unique, but it doesn't mean that we didn't have times that were difficult. But one of the decisions we made, to your point, very early on was we are always going to do what is best for the kids first.
100%.
Then the second part is then we figure out our emotional stuff together and deal with that separately. Like, make sure the kids are good, and then we will have our conversations about the hurts, the angers, the frustrations, the whatever with each other over
Step.
here. But the kids are always, always, always first. And we also said our divorce doesn't have to look like everybody else's. There's no reason why it has to look like everybody else's. So we're the ones who are going through it. We don't have to follow the story that everybody else goes through. How are we going to do this? And so we just made it work as best as we possibly can. And really, ultimately, our goal is, you know, that everyone's as happy as can be in the situation that we find ourselves in.
That's
And
fantastic, Jenny. You're certainly an inspiration to a lot of people. I think cooperation is the most important with both you and your husband. Your former husband, you
yeah.
can see that. And you have a new relationship, and he's
Hmm.
supportive as well. So now you
Oh,
have
yeah.
a combination where I've seen out there, and it's unfortunate where you see, so the parents are okay, but then all of a sudden a new person comes in and they
Hmm.
disrupt that whole system, and they may not be as cooperative and they may cause some issues. So there's another part of another element to that
Yeah.
whole divorce dynamic. So you really need to say, hey, no matter what, no one outside of you can come in and disrupt this. First, that has to happen. And then I think that's what led you to have a great relationship with your next person, Jenny,
Yeah.
because you said, no, kids come first, and he accepted that, and that's important.
Oh, yeah. And he knows that. And he knows that we have a good friendship. He and my ex, so my fiance and my ex have a good relationship with each other. They have a lot in common because Jenny has a type. So,
Don't we all?
yeah, right.
Yeah,
So, I mean, they get along, they chat about things, they have things in common. So we make it work is really what it comes down to. And we again, even my fiance, they're not his kids, but we all live together 50% of the time. So
yeah,
my ex and I, because my kids are homeschooled, we're able to really truly do a 50-50 split. Whereas when my kids were still going to public school, they were living with me because the school is literally across the street from my house. So
oh,
I
how
had them.
convenient.
That's why we bought the house. Was the proximity to one of the best elementary schools in our town. And so I had the kids Sunday through Friday. So I had the kids during the school week. He got them on the weekends because otherwise we usually on Tuesday or Wednesday we'd find times when they could all go to dinner together, or he would come over for dinner or something, so
Sure.
that the kids could see their dad at some point during the week, right? But it was hard at that point in time because I was the one who was, did you do your homework, helping with all the grading, doing all of that stuff. Like
Yeah.
I was having to be, did you get it done, mom? Did you get your chores done? Did you do whatever? And then they went to dad for the weekends and it was all fun. And I was like, and so every once in a while I would, when possible, I'd be like, I need the kids for a weekend because I need to have them during time when I'm not sitting there going, did you do your homework? Did you do your chores? Did you vacuum the living room? All the, I need to be fun mom every once in a while.
Oh,
He was
sure. And I
very
think,
understanding of that.
Jenny, that's a very common problem too, where everybody wants to be the better parent. So you kind of, or you think you're being the better parent by
Right.
spoiling them a bit and so forth. And I understand that, but you're right, it
Yeah.
does cause the grief for the one parent who's the rule person and the other one has all the fun. So I get that. And again, you had open
Yeah.
communication. And so
Oh, yeah.
that makes a big difference too, because if you didn't, now the
Right.
kids are they start playing one parent against the other, don't they?
Right. And that's something that we always worked out with each other was we're a united front. Like we don't do this whole, well, well, dad said I could do this. You do realize I have a cell phone. I can find out if your dad actually
Yeah,
said you can do that, right? Like, so we communicate about all those things. We are a united front.
that's great.
What we both know as adults is best for the kids. And for anything that's in the intermediary, we all decide together. Like, we just have conversations if the kids want something. So, my 16-year-old was asking for a septum piercing the other night. Can I get my nose pierced? You have your ears pierced. Let's talk. And we decided, you know what? You're 16. You're a couple years from 18. When you're 18, you can make that decision. But right
There you
now,
go. A united front. And he would respect his
right.
parents' decision because that's what he's used
Yeah.
to, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it really came down to just, let's have this conversation together. And then we were like, it's one thing to get your ears pierced. It's another thing when it's your nose.
Yeah,
We wanted to make sure that, because it's like, we're not opposed to it happening. We're opposed to it happening now. Now is not the time. It's
that's right.
because you're going to be looking for, they're 16. You're going to be looking for a job soon. You're going,
Yeah,
so
exactly. Exactly. And
we want to make
parenting,
sure you're going to be able to get employment. And when you're 18, you can make that decision. But for right now, we'll hold off for a bit,
and we're
you
in
know?
charge till they're adults, and that's the way it is, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
18, as you said, excuse me, it's up to them. They get to continue on. Now, I want to
Hmm.
switch gears just a little bit and jump over
Sure.
to your careers because you actually have two businesses. And I
Uh,
wanted to address that because while you're raising the children and while you're doing all of this, now you have two businesses. A lot of people find it overwhelming to have to do work and raise children.
hmm.
How did you manage to balance all of that together? Now, you did say your former husband was absolutely helpful in through all of this, so that
Yes.
does make a difference. But
Yep.
how did you do it?
Great question. I rely a lot on Google Calendar.
We
To
experienced a bit
be
of that this morning, Jenny.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't get done, is what I've learned about myself. And it's also understanding that the priority is, are we all healthy, managing all of those things? And if I'm not cared for and I'm one of the people who's, bringing in the bacon, as we
Yeah,
say, then I also need to make sure that I'm cared for as well. So there is a bit of a balancing act. But here's the thing that I recognize is life is juggling, I should say, more than balancing. It's more like juggling. Business is a rubber ball. If you drop the rubber ball, it bounces back. Business can always come back.
very good advice.
Family is a glass ball. Friends are glass balls. Take care of your relationships. business will come back. Take care of any people that are involved in your life that you're juggling. They're all glass balls. Your health is a glass ball, but business is rubber. It'll bounce back.
That's
You can
really
always get
actually
back to
quite
it.
profound to say that because you're absolutely right. The priorities have to be set and you have to be stoic about it, don't you?
Yeah, and again, it also helps to have all those people around you because, like I said, I didn't just put people around me who were friends and family. I also put people around me who could help me in business. And when I needed, I hired a VA. When I needed, I hired an assistant here and there to take care of certain things, you know? So um, yes, it's been reliant. I'm responsible for these things being done in my business, but it doesn't have to be me. And as soon as I figured that out and figured out a way to make it work to have assistants, and right now I have an affiliate manager who takes care of all of my affiliate relationships and making sure, because I it's really figuring out in business, what do I love doing and what is it that only Jennie can do. Everything else can be delegated. And so it's just a matter of figuring out what's the procedure.
Right, right.
So going through what's the procedure so that someone else can do it. So look, I've been very lucky to have some amazing assistants over the years who've been really absolutely necessary. So I've used VAs, I've used local assistants, there's no one perfect answer for that, but just
Sure.
making sure that things get done. But it also really, really helps to have a fantastic network in business who people who will come in and mentor you. And like I said, I have a coach that I pay for, but
Yeah.
she's also a mentor, right? And because she's 12 and a half years older than I am. So she's got more life experience
Right,
and
right.
she's always happy to share and give her perspective. And she also realizes my situation is different. So she doesn't get butthurt if I don't always take the advice or if I take pieces that work for me. Right. But I've made sure to have some amazing humans in my life and surround myself with good people who I trust have my best interest in heart when they're giving advice, even in the world of business. So it's really just taking a look at, okay, thank you for that advice. Now, what works? And I've followed my intuition um, with all of that. And what I've learned is my intuition's really, really good. It's the times when I falter is the time when I didn't listen to my intuition.
Ah, that's good too. That's good to know because we all have that, right? We think, and then we sort of put it aside and think, "Ah, I
Yes.
don't know." But you're right, intuition. You have to go, I think with any kind of business, any kind of planning, you do have to look inside and
Mhm.
go, okay, this is what's coming up. This is what I'm feeling. What direction am I going? And you said earlier, you have to make time for yourself. I don't know if you do meditation. I think you do. I
I
wasn't
do.
sure. I thought so.
I again, it's not something that I do on the daily, but
I
I
always
I
so
tend to meditate. When I do meditate, I tend to do it at night because that's when my brain is active. My body's tired, but my brain is active. So I use the meditation to kind of bring it down and get me to a point where I can go to sleep,
So,
honestly.
I think the meditation for me, also do meditation, is taking time out and sitting down and just saying, okay, who am I? Where am I going? What am I doing?
Mhm.
And calm down, just calm down and let those answers come to you. So your intuition, however you find it, maybe yoga, going for a long
Right.
walk, I think you have to take time for yourself and
Yeah.
that all of the business, family, all of that just kind of float out there for a minute and give yourself some space. And then from there, you can move forward and you'll know if it's the right move. And sometimes we get slapped a bit along the way, metaphorically speaking, where
Yeah.
you think, whoa, whoa, what happened here? But you're getting redirected. Your intuition is saying, no, that's not the right path. This is a better path for you. And you end up, I really believe everything works out for everybody the way it's supposed to. So
I definitely agree with that. we tend to assume that things have to be done in a certain time frame, and it's absolutely not
I
true.
know, I
All
always say you
things,
can move the time. Set the goal,
yeah.
but you can move the time if you have to.
Yes, exactly. So, to jump back on the intuition piece, like I said, the times when I falter is the time when I didn't pay attention, right? My intuition was the way intuition works is it starts as a little, for me, is a little thing in my stomach. So I know you can't see in my camera here, but it starts as a little thing in my stomach going, "Hey, mm-mm." And then it starts spreading and it starts spreading and then you start having thoughts, right? One of the last things is this is what's going to happen. It's like they call your gut your second brain. And really, I think it should be your first brain because your body picks up on all of these things and then it starts telling you in your core what's going on. So I've learned to pay attention there now. And it's a lesson I'm still learning. A year ago, I had made a verbal agreement with someone to um basically they were going to mail for me for a program that I was
Sure.
launching at the beginning of this year. So we're recording this in December of 24. So in January of 2024, I was launching a program. And this person was going to mail for me because they have a whole audience of that tens of thousands of people who are in my ideal client pool, we'll say.
Sure.
So network marketers.
Yeah.
And at the last minute, this person backed out.
Right.
But before that happened, I had been doing things trying to make it as easy as possible for this person to follow through on the commitment. And the reason I was doing that is because my gut was telling me this person isn't going to do it.
Oh, okay.
Right. When I look back now, and that was a huge aha I just had actually just a couple of weeks ago in a workshop that I was participating in. And I was having a side conversation outside of the boot camp with a friend who has known me for a couple of years now and had watched this whole thing happen. And he's a former rabbi, and he started asking me questions. And I was like, oh my God, I knew it the whole time. Like,
See?
I I just didn't listen. So I was like, let me make it so that this person has no reason to not do the thing because I was even literally having my fiance go in and do all the back end of the tech stuff for him. So this other person paid my fiance to do things for him. Not, I didn't ask the person to. They said, Marcel's doing work for me, so I'm going to pay him. Oh, okay. That's cool. And then later I'm like, oh,
So, and again,
yeah,
in the end, it worked out the way it was
it
supposed to.
it
I
did work
always
out. It was
I
my
always
lesson.
say that to people. I always say it happened because it was supposed to happen.
Mhm.
There's no way around it. Once it happens, it was supposed to, good or bad, it
Right.
was supposed to, and it's all working out
Yeah.
for your good, whoever you are paying
Right.
attention. It is working out. It doesn't seem like it at times, but
Oh,
in the
yeah.
end, it certainly is always working out for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I'm someone of the belief that, we choose the life that we want to live, the lessons that we want to learn before we're born. And so every time I have those hard times, so a couple weeks ago when I had that like flash, I was like, oh, apparently, apparently my soul wanted to have that lesson learned
I agree with that, Jenny.
because
Now, Jenny, if I could ask you, so
sure.
if there was any kind of advice, whether it be and you've given us a lot of advice on raising children and business. What advice would you give out for someone just starting out who's perhaps on their own, who's maybe got a family, who's having a hard time and maybe doesn't have all the support? What advice would you have to help them find support? Where would you
Mm.
think? So would that be just friends? Would that be, I mean, I guess they would know if they have supportive friends, but what direction would you go in?
I think having that counsel, your advisory, I've had some friends, they say they call it their advisory board, right? And even though it's not really for business per se, it's for their life advisory board. I call it my goddess council, right? Um, get those people that can support in different areas of life and support from their place of strength,
Okay,
support from their place of overflow, right? At the place where it's easy for them, but it's somewhere, it's a part of your life that you feel is the area where you need the most support, right? So just looking, again, this is all coming together. Like, take those moments of meditation or just quiet calm to be like, what do I need? What's the support that I need? Who do I know who can provide that support? And have the conversation and ask. One of the lessons I'm learning, like literally up through right now, is to ask for the help, because for those of us who are givers, which many of us, and I'm assuming your audience is probably mostly women,
I
but
know I
those who are,
am.
yeah, the people who are going to be attracted to the show are going to be
Yeah,
like you, which is a giver.
yeah,
And sometimes it is hard for us givers of the world to receive. And so, one of the things that I've been learning is to ask and then receive. Be
perfect.
open to receiving, because that allows someone else to be the giver. And I know what being the giver feels like. So just receive.
That is that is brilliant, Jenny.
Thank
That's why I have you on because a lot of people need to hear that. It's okay to receive. It's okay to
Yes.
say thank you without something in return. That's
Yeah.
absolutely perfect. Perfect. Now, if
Thank you.
anyone wanted to get a hold of you, I'm going to have everything down at the bottom. But Jenny, what's the best place? You have Badass Sales Mastery podcast, which is, to me, it's just a great podcast. Everyone should listen. I'm going to put that on there. But what's the
Thank you.
best place that they can get a hold of you?
Best place to get a hold of me is probably on Facebook. Now if social media ever goes down, of course, Badass Direct Sales Mastery is
Okay.
you can get a hold of me through there. I've got a contact form there, but Facebook is the place where I spend most of my time, because that's where most of my clients are. That's where my excuse me, my friends and family are. So that's where I really am, is on Facebook. So Jennie Bellinger, I got the purple hair. You can't miss me.
And you are beautiful, Jenny. You're
Thank
beautiful
you.
inside and out too.
Thank
Jenny, I'm going to post all of that down. So for everybody,
you.
Jenny is a wonderful mentor. She does some amazing work with great leaders. I've always I listen to her podcast and I find a lot of information there. And I highly encourage you all to follow Jenny on hers. So I will put that down at the bottom. Jenny, will you come back and talk to me again another time?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I got
Thank you.
47 years of experience to share. Somebody
Yeah,
should also take advantage of that.
we have lots of topics to go over. I was
Yeah.
grateful for you sharing your personal one today and a bit about
Yeah.
your business, but we will go over some other ones down the road. So thank you so much. So to everyone else, thank you for joining us today. This is Teresa from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. I'll also put my contact down in the bottom. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you. And I look forward to talking to you all very soon. Bye-bye now.